Welcome to Signature Song, the show where two friends come together to talk about a musical artist and try to figure out that artist's signature song, the song that defines them to the world. My name is Jorge.
And I'm Lane.
Today we have the pleasure of talking about a band that helped define an entire era of heavy music. A band that rose from the underground tape trading scene to become one of the biggest commercial forces that rock music has ever seen. They constantly reinvented themselves, often to the intense reaction of their own audience. They've been praised as innovators, dismissed as sellouts and all kinds of other names, argued over more passionately than almost any of their peers. And they've sparked controversy, not just because of the themes and the aggression of their music, but also for the decisions they made as a business, including, at one point, very publicly suing their own fans. Some love them, some hate them. Say your prayers, little ones, for today we are talking about Metallica. Lane.
Yes.
How funny is it that the most famous, commercially successful, and arguably most influential band in the history of the metal genre is called Metallica?
I think it's really fucking silly.
It's like, imagine if the most famous rapper of all time was called Rap Boy.
Rap Boy.
That's what it feels like to me. It's something I've often pondered. I thought Metallica invented the metal genre because I thought it came from their name when I was a kid.
No, Venom. Venom invented it. They had an album called Black Metal.
Interesting. Well, so, I mean, what's your history with the band at all, if you have one?
So I kind of grew up with them in my periphery. They weren't really a band that I was ever super into, but my dad and I would listen to them sometimes. For some reason, I don't know why, we had the cassette version of Garage Inc., which is a bunch of demos and covers and rarities.
Oh yeah.
We used to listen to it before going to church.
Oh wow, that feels pretty transgressive.
Yeah. So, I have a couple of other memories associated with them, but they're related to particular songs, which we'll talk about later on. But, as much of a metal fan as I am, Metallica doesn't really scratch that itch for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? I know you went through a phase.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I was a kid starting to learn about rock music and approaching rock music as this scary, forbidden thing that might be a pathway into the dark side, into the Dark Lord, the dark forces. As a Catholic kid who grew up under the influence of all these grown-ups in their satanic panic and talking about how rock music and specifically metal music was this scary thing that could grab a hold of you and drag you into the darkest of emotional and spiritual places. Metallica to me seemed like the epitome of that. I was frightened of them. My cousin Jaime was way into them and I'd be like, oh my God, aren't you scared that you're going to go to hell for listening to this?
Wow.
Yeah, I eventually did start to listen, and it always felt like I was getting away with something. It always felt like I was doing something forbidden that I shouldn't have done, that I shouldn't be doing. Like my first few forays into internet pornography when I was 11 or 12 on a computer, early dial-up internet. To me, that's the feeling that Metallica gave me. It just felt like something dark and wrong that I shouldn't be doing, but it was still kind of thrilling. And, with time, I started to get more and more into them, and it became I became a fan of the band. I was never an obsessive. I was never the type of fan who actually went out and bought every one of their albums, but I did, early file sharing. I mean, thankfully it didn't come after me. It didn't sue me because of downloading their stuff via Napster, but that's really where I started to learn about them, is just getting MP3 files off the internet and starting to assemble their discography in my head like some type of puzzle. These days, I would say that I don't really listen to them that often, but I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the hell out of the exercise of listening to these songs again now, all these years later.
Did it make you feel sentimental?
It did, actually. It did. And it really solidified what I like about Metallica, what really spoke to me about their work early on. And the specific part of their discography that to me still holds up is, interestingly, not really represented in the songs. Well, sort of represented in the songs we're going to discuss today. So I'm excited to talk about them with you.
Cool. Should we get into it?
We can move on to our very first contender.
So our first pick for signature song, or rather our first contender for signature song, is For Whom the Bell Tolls off 1984's Ride the Lightning. This track features Cliff Burton's bass. This is his widely known bass riff of his in this song. And it is kind of distorted with a wah pedal and multi-track. With a lead and a clean, as well as some harmonic bass notes. And I'm harping on this because I think this is the coolest part of the song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the bass is just incomparable. It also has, famously at the very beginning, this bell sound with Lars Ulrich striking an anvil, actually. I was really surprised to learn that. That was an anvil and then like this sound effects recording of a bell combined together to make it sound more like a church bell.
Yeah. It's you know, it's silly that it's called For Whom the Bell Tolls and it starts with a bell. It's one of those like really on the nose things that Metallica did often.
Literally their name is, like we've said at the beginning, is Metallica. Like they couldn't be more on the nose if they fucking tried.
Yeah.
So it was inspired by the Ernest Hemingway novel of the same name, which is based on soldiers dying in an airstrike. Metallica has this reputation for, despite, you know, I mean, they were pioneers in the thrash scene. I mean, they really defined thrash metal, I think, for a lot of people. They're seen as more of like an intellectual or literary band because of their lyrical content, which is something I find kind of interesting because like most thrash metal to me is very like kind of meat-headed.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of that in Metallica too, for sure.
Oh yeah. But, you know, this song, like many of Metallica's hits, is just riff after riff, and you know, probably one of their most popular songs. It was never released as a single. It actually charted much later due to its presence on streaming services. And so, what is that, 25 years later? No, 35 years later, in 2019, it hit number 18 in the US rock and alternative charts.
Right.
But that was its only major chart performance in the United States. And it's notable because it's very often played in Metallica sets. It's the 5th most played song of all of their songs. What do you think of this song, Jorge?
Well, it's one of those Metallica songs that maybe wasn't a big commercial hit when it came out, but it became this legendary song over the years just because of how iconic that bass line is at the start. It's like you said, it's really the main thing. What you listen for in this song is that bass line, that dirty, scuzzy, distorted, wah pedal infused, slinky bass line. That goes through the whole song. And I understand that Cliff Burton came up with this bass line before he joined Metallica. Like, he played this bass line with his previous band on a different song. But it just works so beautifully here because it's paired with those chunky, you know, it's opening that really feels like you're being hit over the head with some seismic force from another universe. It's, I think, one of those songs that feels like a force of nature within Metallica's repertoire. It's maybe not the most sophisticated thing musically. I mean, we'll talk about a few songs that have more going on as far as composition goes, but it's also interesting that we're starting off our list of contenders with a song that was sort of a little bit of a departure for them. I mean, by this point, they had already established themselves with Kill 'Em All as pioneers of the thrash genre. This song is a little slower. It's got a mid-tempo feel to it. It's like lumbering, crushing, and approximates a little bit of the sonic detour that the band would take later on in their career. Like, if you pair this, I think this fits more comfortably with, I don't know, the Black Album than it does with Kill 'Em All, just because of the heaviness of it and just the way it's constructed and those chunky riffs and the low end. There's a lot going on in this track as far as performance that makes up for the fact that it doesn't really have a whole lot going on compositionally. I still like it. I think For Whom the Bell Tolls it's really cool, but it's not my favorite of these tracks that we're going to talk about today. And it's certainly, I mean, it's got its own unique sound to it, and it's got this iconic sound to it, but it doesn't necessarily point to what will become the most acclaimed part of Metallica's songwriting and overall sound.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's not as technical as many songs in their discography, right? I think what you're saying about kind of like the detour, so you said the Black Album, but also Load. I mean, there is that kind of,
I mean, Load and Reload are just, I mean, basically continuations of what they started to do in the Black Album. I just kind of pointed to the Black Album as the closest, I think, and the part where the turn really happened when they hooked up with Bob Rock and started to focus more on the groove and focus more on the low end rather than the big thrashy stuff.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to hear what makes this song special, I would say personally, and people might disagree, you would have to step away from the album version and actually check out the live version that's featured on the Cliff 'Em All DVD, which is especially good. And it really shows off, number one, what an incredible performer Cliff Burton was. He was amazing, RIP. But also just the power of this track and why it really resonated so much. For Whom the Bell Tolls, good first contender. Is it the thing that people think of when they think Metallica? Is it potentially their signature song? Would most people hear the name Metallica and say, oh yeah, the band that plays For Whom the Bell Tolls? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think it's a good contender because of the power of it and because of the iconic bass line. But I'm not sure I would go as far as to say that it's their signature song. It feels to me like it's something that would be a secondary layer if we're talking about like one of those iceberg charts. I think it would be a little further down rather than the top layer.
Sounds good to me.
That's it. Let's move on to our second track, our second contender, which I think is a little bit more iconic. Master of Puppets is the title track and the towering centerpiece of Metallica's third album from 1986, and it's released as the album's only single. It was written by all four members of the classic lineup and produced with Flemming Rasmussen. Master of Puppets expands on Metallica's now familiar formula at this point of a blistering opener followed by a sprawling, multi-part epic. But this one pushes the format further than anything that they had done up to this point. It clocks in at over 8 minutes, and it's built around this relentless downpicking, a long instrumental middle section, and a ruthless thematic focus on addiction as this master-slave relationship. It's both technically ferocious and pretty sharp conceptually. You could start to see them getting more sophisticated as far as their songwriting. Although the song did not chart at all on release, it has since become Metallica's most played live song. And thanks to decades of critical canonization and its explosive resurgence in recent years with its appearance on the Netflix show Stranger Things, it is now arguably the most universally recognized thrash metal epic ever written. I think Master of Puppets takes it to a whole new level. We're stepping it up a notch. This is a big song as far as sound, as far as impact, and as far as the physical toll it probably takes on the people performing it. This song is like a feat of musical athleticism. How do we feel about Master of Puppets?
I think it should be called Master of Muppets because he sounds like Cookie Monster when he sings Master of Puppets.
Yeah, he really does. Wow, that's a great impression. I felt for a second like I was talking to James Hetfield. I was recording a podcast with James Hetfield.
Wow, I've never sent you legal papers.
We were talking about earlier on over WhatsApp. We were talking about how funny it is to listen to, his vocal performances over the years and how his voice has changed. And those early albums, those first 3 albums, really, he sounds so high pitched in comparison to his, later stuff. And obviously, I mean, he was way younger, but it's just kind of funny to go back to, right? After years of getting used to the voice that became maybe most famous after the Black Album.
Yeah, I think like his vocals, like the changes that you hear, it's not just like the pitch, it's like how rich it is and like kind of the tone.
Yeah.
Like I think he definitely became a better singer as he got older. I think this song is really fun. It's also really scary. It's like one of those songs that like your parents would be afraid of you listening to if you were like a kid.
The chant, the master chant is like it's like I said, there's something dark about it. There's something you start to believe what people say about the corrupting forces of rock music. It's like, oh my God, it can really get these kids into a stupor.
It's creepy, yeah. And I also like, even though it never like charted when it was out, or when it first came out, it speaks for itself, right? Like you said, it's their most played live song in their history as a band. Many fans would say this is like their best album and best song.
Yeah.
Like it's really popular among Metallica fans and metal heads in general.
It is their it's their most played song, and I think there's a reason for that. It really showcases the duality of what Metallica was attempting in their heyday, where the music is both this brutish, unrelenting, aggressive pummeling that is very loud and chunky and distorted, but also happened to feature this classical influence level of finesse with that middle section, that lovely little middle section that the song suddenly stops and you start to settle into this not acoustic, I think they're still electric guitars, but cleaner sounding groove, and very pretty melodic lines, melodic leads. I never know who's playing lead, whether it's Kirk Hammett or James Hetfield. It seems like they go back and forth, but it's a really lovely little part in the middle that feels like taking a little breather, before kicking right back off into another intense instrumental section, intense jam section near the end there. I will say that transition into the slow section could be a little better. The way that they do it is just kind of to shift James Hetfield's voice down, where he's like, "Master." I mean, to me, I don't know. Maybe they couldn't figure out a way to transition into that part. And so they did a very silly sounding thing there that really feels like something pulled out of a horror movie, but
it's gimmicky.
It is gimmicky, but I don't know. There's a charm to it too, right? I think Metallica is very strongly influenced by like old classic horror too. Like I know that, for example, Kirk Hammett was apparently way into Freaks and the horror of the 1930s and 40s. So there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of like B movie type influence there that I think seeps into, I don't know, moments like that. I will say that I personally really like this song. It feels very satisfying to me to listen to because it's really well performed. Although, one thing I learned doing research for this is that the song was actually, the instrumental track was recorded in a slower tempo and then sped up after recording, because apparently the producer was not confident in the band's ability to perform it well, to perform it at the correct tempo. It's a very tight performance, and I think it's because it was accomplished artificially.
I did not know that. Wow, that's really interesting.
So the few moments of syncopation there with the guitar, where the whole band kind of stops for a second at the end of, the verses, that doesn't actually follow a strict like musical notation. Like there's no actual correct count. You can't transcribe that into a score that tells you, that accurately matches how they play it on the record, because it's 100% feel based. What they do there doesn't actually make any metronomical sense. And it's this little destabilizing moment during the verses that I think really helps sell the song's overall frantic message. Frantic, that's another Metallica song we could have talked about today. And I love that the chorus, it would have been natural to write a chorus that felt more like a release type of situation, and this one doesn't. The chorus for Master of Puppets continues to feel contained and trapped, and like there's no leaving this situation. There's no way out. You're stuck. I don't know. I just think the song conveys its message really well, and I really like it.
I really like it too. It's not my favorite of the ones that we're covering, but I mean, I could be convinced for a signature song for this one. I think a little bit more easily than For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yeah, for sure. It's just big. It's a big song for them. Iconic. A mission statement. But I think we've said all we could say about Master of Puppets, and we can move on to our third contender today.
Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh, please, God, wake me.
Our next contender for signature song is one off of 1988's And Justice for All. This song is another war song, seems to be a common thread in Metallica songs. This one is loosely inspired by the 1939 anti-war novel Johnny Got His Gun. It's the story of a soldier in World War I who got mutilated by a landmine and left, in complete bodily disrepair. And he is trapped in his mind and he wants to die. And this novel is supposed to, convince the people reading it that war is bad because of these atrocities that occur to the people who are fighting it. Although, interestingly enough, so there is kind of a machine gun sort of vibe to the drums, and that was actually not an intentional thing. This actually emerged in early composition sessions on its own, so it had kind of more of an organic feel, and it happened to fit these lyrics that were inspired by Johnny Got His Gun. This song is interesting because it was the first Metallica song to chart in the United States. It reached number 35 in the Billboard Top 100. And it also won the first Grammy for Best Metal Performance, which is pretty significant. Metallica has a history of being just this groundbreaking band in so many different ways. And this is another thing that I was surprised to learn. One is basically Metallica's breakthrough into sort of mainstream rock. They had been popular in the heavy metal circuit for, quite some time at this point. Now that music was making its way into the mainstream. And it was also their first ever music video. And that music video is also pretty influential as well. Overall, this song is kind of a career-defining piece for Metallica. It's still very popular in their live sets and is the most popular song from And Justice for All that they play in concert. Being their first US hit and first song on MTV, that really catapulted them into the mainstream.
Yeah. It's almost weird to think that they had existed as this sort of underground act. I mean, they weren't really underground by this point. They had, become quite popular, but like you said, this is their first foray properly into the mainstream. And, not for nothing, it's also the first time of many that they would be considered sellouts by their fans, because they had a music video out, because they were on TV, they were appearing on television, even though the song itself is pretty far from what you would consider, any type of commercial sellout. It seems to continue on the tradition that they were already building. But Metallica's image is a very constant thing that was debated over the years. The fact that they were on MTV playing on a like a professionally produced music video and bringing mainstream recognition to this genre that had very proud underground roots was a topic of a lot of debate at the time. And I think that's very interesting, looking back at the band that they became and just how massively commercial and successful they became. It seems almost quaint to think about the fact that early on, this was a sticking point in their career. I'll tell you, one was scary to me. Like, continuing on with what we were saying, like that intro guitar, the clean guitar, is just so spooky sounding. Even to this day, it seems very foreboding and dark and scary in a way that obviously they were trying to paint a certain picture, and they were broaching a topic that they care very much about and that they feel is worth singing about. And, the song sound reflects that. It's got this very gloomy atmosphere. It's very despairing. And I think it accomplishes very well what it's trying to do in creating an emotional arc in its music and the way that the song is composed, and its ramp up and its sudden bursts of energy and its chromatic movement, and that incredible jam section near the end really does something to me. I think it's just a really sharply written song, and it's arranged like one of those tasting menus where it's there's a lot of thought put into the order of the elements and creating an experience. To me, that this song does that. It's built in a similar fashion. It's created in a way that really showcases the maturity that the band was achieving compositionally from their earlier thrash metal days. Like I said earlier, this song is still very much in the spirit of the band, but it is a more mature take on the sound that they had started exploring years prior. One aspect that I think could be better about this song is, you could say the same for any song on this album. There's no bass. There's no bass. Famously, the bass track on And Justice for All was lowered to the point of inaudible. This was the first record that featured Jason Newsted in the band. And whether it be because they were trying to pull some kind of prank on him, or they were just kind of hazing him as the new guy, or if they just really wanted that, very harsh mid-range sound, the bass is almost non-existent throughout the entire album. And to me, it is quite dearly missed. I think a bass guitar plays such an important part in the overall sonic impact of a song that I really miss it in the whole album, but in this song in particular.
I think it makes it a little scarier, though, that it doesn't have it in some ways. If all you have are those middle and high ends that you're working with, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that achieve something a little bit more sonically, I guess? I don't want to say grating. That's not the word that I'm looking for. But
harsh?
You know what I mean? Yeah, when you don't have a low end. Yeah.
Maybe, but this is such a rich song.
Right.
I could agree with that on other tracks. I could agree with that if they were looking to create something just a lot harsher and more aggressive. And this song is definitely aggressive. Like I said, that later jam section definitely fits the bill. But this is overall kind of a rich, very harmonically lush composition for the band. And I just miss the bass. I feel like it would benefit from a little bass. I don't know if the band ever remastered the album to feature the bass more prominently, but I do know there are a lot of very popular fan versions of this album where fans just re-recorded the bass onto the album, just like created their own bass lines for the songs. But it just seems like such a blunder to eliminate the bass from these songs. I don't know. I would be very curious of the thinking behind that decision. But you're right. This was their first big hit, and it was a massive hit. I definitely see this as an iconic track for the band and a very good contender for signature song. But maybe that title will go to our next contender. Enter Sandman. It's one of the big ones. Enter Sandman opens Metallica's 1991 self-titled, also commonly known as the Black Album, and stands as the band's undisputably most commercially dominant and culturally ubiquitous song. It was released as the lead single to the Black Album, and it reached number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100. I was a little surprised that it only got to number 16. I think it has had a bigger commercial shelf life than maybe some of the other songs on that chart that outcharted it. It cracked the top 5 in the UK. It hit number 1 in several countries and has since gone 9 times platinum in the US with even higher certifications internationally. The song is frequently cited among the greatest metal songs ever written, including high placements on Rolling Stone, VH1, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's Songs That Shaped Rock. It became the defining hit of Metallica's mainstream era. They finally fully broke through. They took what they had done with one and they went 5 steps further and became absolute rock stars. And it's built around a very simple, hypnotic riff. It took Metallica's compositional approach and simplified it. Everything about Enter Sandman is a lot more direct and it's a lot more immediate than any of the stuff that they had done before. Much to the chagrin of a lot of Metallica fans. We talked about them getting called sellouts with One for making a music video. Well, that's nothing compared to the reaction some Metallica fans had to this song and to this whole album. I was talking to my friend Jorge Bedoya, a good friend of mine with whom I had a band back in the day, back in Colombia. And earlier today, I asked him, so what's Metallica's signature song? And Jorge said, it's Enter Sandman, unfortunately. He used the word unfortunately because he's a bigger Metallica fan than I was, and he considers it a crappy song that was sort of designed to be a hit record. It's a global stadium anthem, and it's still played all over the place. It's still featured heavily in media, sporting events. This song has a massive reach. Do you feel that Enter Sandman is a dumbed down version of Metallica?
I think Metallica is a dumbed down version of Metallica.
Okay, but you know what I meant.
Okay, but so I agree with Bedoya. I think the song is like pretty crappy. I think that like the dynamics in some of the better composed Metallica songs are not present here. Like there's no subtlety in this song. Yeah. The sinister character that, James Hetfield inhabits when he's singing this song, I think is a little overwrought and not really believable.
Yeah.
Say your player, like it's just like it's so weird. Like
yes, there's an almost. I mean, to me, I also hear shades of the Misfits here.
That's interesting.
I hear shades of TSOL. I hear horror punk in this song.
Interesting.
Like, is it a lot simpler and, dumber, so to speak, than a lot of the earlier songs? Absolutely, 100%. I agree completely. But I think there's a silliness to it also, and I think it's sort of meant to be silly because I also hear Alice Cooper here. I hear a lot of like horror rock influence here that endears the song to me. I mean, it's about the Sandman. Come on, it's like this nightmarish lullaby with a little boy praying in the middle of it. I can't take it seriously enough to hate it. I think it's just funny and
so
fun.
It's campy.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's
This is campy for straight people.
Yeah, this is a straight person's definition of camp. I think that's correct. I think back to like Feed My Frankenstein, that kind of thing, or like Ozzy Osbourne, like it's got that tongue-in-cheek horror element that I find to be endearing. Like I like Enter Sandman. I think as a construction, it's not trying to be anything like or Metallica's earlier stuff. It's trying to be something completely different. And I just think it's very effective. I admire it as an effective piece of songwriting. And you know what I really like about it? I really like Lars Ulrich's drumming. I think he does a great job on this track, and it really showcases why he was so acclaimed back in the day, before he started suing his fans, before he started getting sloppy and forgetting how to do double bass drums. Like, he was a very creative drummer. He did a lot of really interesting accents here that go, against where you feel the song's going. If you listen to the way the song ends and that fade out near the end, he's doing a lot of really interesting stuff where like, oh man, I didn't know he was going to do a crash cymbal there. Oh, I didn't know he was going to go back to the toms here. Like, it's the kind of stuff that scratches your brain in an interesting way, even when the song itself is so simple and quote unquote dumb. I'm going to say dumb because I don't think dumb is bad for certain types of music.
Of course not.
I'll go to bat for this song. I understand all the criticisms and I understand your take. I think it works and I like it. It makes me smile. I understand also why all the old fans would hate this song. It makes total sense to me. But just kind of in a vacuum, just kind of taking the song as its own thing. If this was like a parallel project, a side project that James Hetfield did with the same band members, just called it something different, I think the reaction would be a lot different.
I wonder what it would be. Like what could be a good name for this project? Because like I said, I mean, Metallica is just too on the nose. Like it's such a ridiculous name. Yeah,
it is. But you know what? I think Metallica fits the name. I think the name Metallica fits this song better than some of the previous ones. I think it's the kind of song you would expect from a band called Metallica. So I think we disagree on this particular track. But yeah, I mean, as far as its validity as a signature song, I think you and I probably...
unquestionable.
Yeah. This is the one. Like, we're not going to reveal our picks yet, but this is their biggest song by a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people could recognize this as a Metallica song, even if they never listened to metal music.
I will also say, I think this is their Friday I'm in Love. Because, look, a highly acclaimed band, very popular in the 80s, releasing an early 90s single that was a huge hit, but divided the fan base. I mean, the parallels are there. No?
I guess so. I don't know. I kind of spaced out.
I stopped listening to you, podcasting partner. I think we've said all we can say about Enter Sandman, and the audience can fill in the blanks. We can move on to our next contender.
All right. So also from the self-titled, aka the Black Album, aka Metallica, released in 1991. The second single from that album is The Unforgiven. And The Unforgiven is not alone in its place in Metallica's discography. They have a couple of sequels. The first one,
songs.
Yes,
is this our
songs.
the first sequel song that we've encountered? Well, this is not a sequel song. This is the original, but the first case of a song that got sequels.
No, I think because didn't we on the 1975 episode do the song called the 1975?
Yeah, the intro. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, that's also a type of sequel song. Yeah, but the different type.
There is thematic continuity across the assorted The Unforgivens in Metallica's discography. The Unforgiven 2 came out in 1997's Reload, and The Unforgiven 3 came out in 2008's Death Magnetic, which is an awful album, so don't go check it out.
Wait, okay. All right. We'll talk about that later.
This song peaked at number 35 on the US Hot 100 and number 10 in the mainstream rock tracks, also in the United States. So it also has a pretty well-known music video, an extended version of which is about 11 and a half minutes long. So, they were reaching for, Metallica walks so Taylor Swift could run.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say they were trying to do the Michael Jackson thing.
No, they called it the theatrical version. And when they put it on their videos compilation, they chose this long version, which has some just additional narrative stuff to drive the story along.
I would also like to acknowledge that if there ever was a signature song drinking game, take a shot every time Elaine references Taylor Swift will be definitely one of the entries in the episode. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, so it's got these sequel songs, and that makes it kind of unique in their discography.
Yeah.
So it could be one of their signature songs, or their signature song, I guess, because it is, a successful and core single on the Black Album. It had significant chart success. It went multi-platinum. It also shows a different side of Metallica. So this song isn't really a metal song, in my opinion. It's a little bit more introspective. It's definitely still got like the, hard rock side of it, but it has a different approach to songwriting.
Yes.
That they would, their ballads became very big.
Yeah.
In general. Yeah.
Metallica were not afraid to show their softer side every once in a while.
Right. And the Unforgiven trilogy is a key part of Metallica's discography. They have sort of its own mythology in that trilogy. So that makes the song, the original song, all that more important. I think this is the best song of the ones that we're talking about today, too.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I was about to reference that earlier today. You said, exactly that. The Unforgiven is the best of these songs. What do you like so much about it?
I like the narrative. I like the instrumentation. I really like his vocal performance.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sounded better compared to the other ones that I was listening to.
I like it a lot. It's very melodic. It's got a really good vocal performance by James Hetfield, and the song is just really well constructed. Like you said, it kind of falls into power ballad territory, sort of. Mm-hmm. And an interesting thing about this song is that, you would expect the standard equation or the standard formula is usually quiet versus loud chorus. This song fully inverts that. The verses are loud, and then the chorus is kind of nice and quiet and gentle. They totally do away with that with The Unforgiven 2, which goes back to quieter versus louder choruses. But it's, an interesting approach that they took for this particular song. I think it's very well produced too. It's got a nice atmosphere to it. Bop Rock, as a producer, has a habit of, he's really great in the low end, right? If you're looking for low end, if you're looking for big toms and chunky guitars and bass, he's great for that. But sometimes he has a habit of flattening things out in a way that it removes any sort of atmosphere. But this song, I think, sounds really good. I really like the atmosphere of this song. It's like also a little spooky, a little dark, but very evocative. And I think it's really anchored by James Hetfield's great vocal performance, especially what he does in the chorus. I really like how he sings the choruses.
Like I said earlier, Metallica isn't really known for their subtlety, but I think this song is a lot more subtle than these other picks.
Yeah. And then the Unforgiven 3 just sucks.
Yeah.
The Unforgiven 3...
Because Death Magnetic sucks.
I like some Death Magnetic songs, but the Unforgiven 3, I don't... It's also just like, it seems random to title that song The Unforgiven 3. It doesn't really fit the motifs that we hear in the first two songs. It just seems like a whole different thing that they decided to slap the Unforgiven title on. I actually don't know how that came about, but I'd be curious to learn about it. In any case, The Unforgiven gets the Jorge and Lane seal of approval. We like the song. I will stop short of agreeing with you that it's the best one of these six, because I still like Master of Puppets better.
We like this song.
What the hell was that?
Oh, you're not from America. Never mind. This commercial is not familiar to you.
I don't know what it is. What is it?
It's Quiznos Subs has
Jesus Christ.
In the early 2000s, these rodents who were dressed up in weird costumes singing about "We like these subs."
Oh, all right. So from this point forward, anytime we talk about a song we like, you got to do that.
We like this song.
Let's see if you'll be saying that for our final contender for Metallica's signature song.
Dun dun dun.
So close, no matter how far. Couldn't be much more from the heart.
Nothing Else Matters is Metallica's most vulnerable and emotionally direct hit. We can talk about whether it surpasses The Unforgiven on that front, but it was released in 1992 as the third single from the Black Album, so half of our contenders came from the Black Album, which just speaks to how massive that album is. We're going to talk about some honorable mentions in a little while, but this song needed to be one of our contenders because it was massively popular, reached the top 10 across a lot of Europe. Europe loves this song. It hit number 1 in Denmark. It went platinum in the UK and multi-platinum in many other countries, and it became one of the band's most enduring global successes. It's frequently cited among Metallica's greatest songs. It shows up in a lot of lists of, best Metallica songs, best metal songs, and it's one of the most recognizable power ballads in all of rock history. It has remained a life staple for them over 3 decades and has been performed with orchestras, the S&M album that they did with the San Francisco Symphony. It was written by James Hetfield as a deeply personal piece that he never intended to be a Metallica song. He wasn't going to take it to the band, but eventually he did. And the song sort of helped redefine Metallica's public image and expanded their reach beyond metal audiences, and it became a crossover hit that managed to solidify their place as a band that was capable of emotional intimacy as well as their heaviness. Nothing Else Matters. If you were a kid learning guitar and interested in Metallica, at one point, you were awestruck to find that you could play just about half of this song's intro without fingering any chords, just with open strings. You could do dun 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 dun, and that was incredible. Oh my God, I can play this and I don't even have to do any chords. And then, of course, you would learn how the rest of the intro went, or try to learn for a little while until eventually giving up and figuring out you'll get to it at some point, and then never actually doing it like I did. That was my personal history with this song. I never figured out how to play the rest of it. But how do we feel about Nothing Else Matters?
So I have some fond memories associated with this song. So when I was in college, I had some friends who were in a fraternity, if you can believe that. Yeah, and I would go to their parties, like on a weekly or bi-weekly basis whenever they were having them. And this fraternity's theme song was Nothing Else Matters.
What? Really?
Yeah, so this fraternity was full of nerds and metalheads and anime fans and stuff. And so they would go all climb up on a table and hold their beers up and sing.
Yeah, you know what? That sounded weird to me when you first said it, but now that I think of the song and, some of its lyrics, it does have kind of a weird frat vibe to it, like a drinking song vibe to it.
Yeah, so I heard this song every week for almost 4 years in college. And so that's what I think of when I think of this song. And
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
So much. It's a good thing. I had fun with them. I was never a member, but a bunch of cishet guys.
Yeah.
Really not. That's not the kind of masculinity that I'm going for.
I see that.
But I think this song is pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
It's a little cheesy.
Yeah, but it's easy to sing to, and I like all the I guess in the verses, I like how the way that he enunciates his syllables and
that's what you listen to Metallica for.
Yes, for the enunciation.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
There's a great I think the melody is really good. I think it's for a ballad, it's catchy.
Yeah. And I can definitely imagine a bunch of people, a bunch of guys standing on tables, swigging, their beers and never care for what they do. It's got that oomph to it.
The big moment for them was when he goes, never care for what they know. Oh, they would go really deep.
They do that. He does that. He does a whoa.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. James Hetfield is such a meme, man. I don't know. I love it. I think it's great. Everything he does, oh yeah. Oh, he's got that whole thing going for him, and
he sounds like a South Park character.
He sounds like somebody doing an impression of James Hetfield. He's cartoony. He's a cartoony guy. Okay, I'm glad you like Nothing Else Matters, because I also like it. I was a little, I don't know, maybe it's a cheesy song. It's pretty cheesy. It's very simple. But it's got a really rockin' guitar solo. I really like how it amps up near the end and the guitar solo and how it all kind of just falls apart. The song has a nice little crescendo and then it just kind of disassembles in a pleasing way. This was a huge song though. I think this may have been the first Metallica, proper Metallica song I heard. Which I think was surprising. I was expecting something a lot harsher. I was expecting some sort of extreme heavy aggressive black metal type thing, because Metallica has a reputation. But instead it's this song that's got an almost medieval sound to it, There's an incredible version of this song that somebody made and uploaded to YouTube. They did it way before AI. They did it like, I don't know, like 20 years ago or something. However
With a
long.
hurdy-gurdy?
No, I would.
That would be so awesome.
That would be awesome. No, I was. Somebody took the stems for the song's instruments and also the vocals, and they rearranged it to be in major key instead of minor. And it just sounds like this like totally medieval Renaissance fair kind of song. I'll put it.
That's awesome.
No, I'll put in a clip. It's really good.
All these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters.
You can imagine. I don't know. You can imagine a group of elves just kind of happily, like hobbits, happily
Frolicking
joyously. But yeah, this is a big song. And I think this is also probably the Metallica song that my mom is most likely to know. And that's one of those pieces of, that's one of the criteria that I default to a lot when I think of potential signature song contenders.
Very cool. Should we talk about our alternative picks?
Yeah, let's talk about some songs that almost made it to contender status. Our contenders for contender.
Well, I was very insistent on Whiskey in the Jar.
That's interesting. Interesting late 90s cover from Garage Inc. I love their version of Whiskey in the Jar. I think it's great. I like it better than the Thin Lizzy version.
Really?
Yes, I think it's more fun.
I like it. I think it's fun too.
And it's got the great guitarist. It's got James Hetfield. I like when he goes all soft, when he goes, some men like a fishing, I think it really plays to their strengths as a band. Good pick. I wouldn't have included it as a contender because I doubt very much that a lot of people point to that song as oh yeah, that's the band Metallica. That's the band that plays Whiskey in the Jar. I don't think so.
But it's so popular.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, but like you said, I don't think that it would be anybody's first pick for like a Metallica song. But like, I mean, I've heard it on the radio a lot.
Yeah. Well, sort of along those lines, a song that I considered as a contender, but then realized that is nowhere near as popular as I thought, is Fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When I was growing up, this was one of the Metallica songs that was all over the place. And again, our subjective experience informs our perception of the song's influence and reach. And to me, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Like, that was the thing that you knew Metallica for, or one of the things that you knew Metallica for when I was a kid. I will also say that this is where I drop my biggest hot take, which is that I really like 90s bluesy Metallica. I probably like 90s bluesy Metallica more than I like thrash Metallica. I'm sorry, burn me at the stake, but
it's a very spicy take.
But that's how I feel. I really like Load and Reload. I think I'm into that groovier, heavier, kind of bluesier sound. Sludgy. I like that. Whatever. I'm not a Metallica fan. Sorry. I'm okay with liking those two albums. And then the other song that I almost picked for contender was Sad But True. Sad But True is also from the Black Album. By this point, we already had 3 Black Album songs. It felt like a little too much, but Sad But True just feels very influential to me, and it was also sampled by Kid Rock. So do with that what you will.
Thanks, Kid Rock.
He
Thanks
made
for your contributions to the culture.
He made it the instrumental basis to his song American Badass, which is a terrible song, but it used Sad But True. Do you have any other contenders?
No.
All right. I think we can move on to revealing our final pick for signature song. Very curious here if you and I are going to agree. Last time around, I went first. So I think this time you should go first.
My pick for Metallica's signature song is Master of Puppets.
Tell me why.
I think that it has made an indelible mark on the entire genre of heavy metal music. I think that it's the only song that, like, besides For Whom the Bell Tolls, that's really like actually a metal song of our contenders that we've talked about. I think that it sort of was a nice bridge between like kind of pure thrash Metallica and then more like technical, you know, but still like blistering intense, instrumentation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's one of their best written songs. I think that, you know, like I said, it's so important to the metal genre, and I don't think that, even though I would say, you know, Nothing Else Matters and Enter Sandman. Sorry, I blanked for a second. Nothing Else Matters and Enter Sandman are definitely more commercially popular and viable as, maybe when it comes to, if we're just thinking about like songs that like maybe when our parents would be able to identify. I don't think they're as representative of Metallica's sound and songwriting strengths.
Yeah. Interesting.
What about you?
Interesting. I think when it comes to picking a signature song, sometimes there is a point where you got to ask yourself, am I answering the question, what is their most popular song? Or am I answering the question, what song defines this artist? And sometimes they're not the same thing. Enter Sandman is by far their biggest hit. It is by far their most commercially successful song. It's not even close. But just like Friday I'm in Love is bigger than The Cure, I think Enter Sandman is bigger than Metallica. And I really believe that the song that will go down in history, outlive the legacy of Enter Sandman and become the song that is most closely associated with Metallica, and we're almost probably already there, is Master of Puppets.
Yes.
I think when Metallica says we're gonna make an album that brings us back to the core of what our sound is, they don't look to Enter Sandman. They look to Master of Puppets as a template. I think it's a hugely influential song in a way that overtakes the level of consideration I would give to the commercial success portion of this whole calculus. And I think that Master of Puppets is the Metallica song. That's why I'm happy to agree with you that Master of Puppets is Metallica's signature song. We did it!
Hell fucking yeah!
Nice job. All right, this was a fun conversation, Lane. As always.
Yes.
Do you wanna tease our next episode?
I don't want to tease. I just want to tell them.
Go ahead.
Next time, dear listeners, we will be looking at the discography of the legendary Kate Bush.
Yes.
She is a mutual beloved artist between us, and I know that we will have plenty to talk about.
It's going to be cool. I'm excited to talk about Kate Bush, and I'm excited to hear from you, listener. What did you think of our picks for Metallica's signature song? What do you think Kate Bush's signature song is? Go ahead and leave us a comment. And if you want, follow us on Instagram. We really want to get the Instagram going. I've been neglecting it, but we want to get it going. We want to do polls. We want to do interaction. We want to give behind the scenes info. And for that, we need followers. And right now we are at a pretty paltry amount. So go ahead and give us a follow and a like. And until next time.
Till then. Thank you.
I was like, am I? Wait, do we have a sign off? We don't have a sign off.
No, we don't have.
So until next time, stay signatured. Is that anything? I don't know. All right. Bye.
Get sigged.
Yeah.